Today's documentary, The Vanishing, the SS Waratah Mystery. On the morning of July 27, 1909, Captain Josh Ilbery of the SS Waratah sent a final, routine signal to a passing steamer. "All well," he reported. Hours later, the 465-foot luxury liner, a floating palace of Edwardian society, the pride of the Blue Anchor Line, was gone, swallowed whole by the churning, unforgiving sea off South Africa's eastern coast. Not a lifeboat, not a deck chair, not a single body from the 211 souls aboard was ever seen again. The wild coast of South Africa, a place of savage beauty and treacherous currents, holds its secrets tight. It took a ship, and with it, all the answers. To understand the magnitude of the loss, we must first understand what was lost. The SS Waratah was a product of its ambitious age, the zenith of pre-war passenger travel. Commissioned by the prestigious Blue Anchor Line for their lucrative service between Britain and Australia, she was built by the Scottish firm Barclay, Coral and Company in Glasgow. Launched in 1908, she was a colossus, 465 feet from bow to stern, powered by twin quadruple expansion steam engines driving twin screws, her hull painted in the line's distinctive blue and black. Her interiors were a testament to Edwardian luxury. First-class passengers strolled through a grand music lounge, dined in a saloon paneled in polished Tasmanian blackwood. But the Waratah was also, fundamentally, a hybrid. She was designed not just for passengers, but as a bulk carrier, with massive cargo holds designed to transport frozen Australian meat and dairy back to England. This duality, this need to balance luxury above with profitable tonnage below, would become the first crack in her story. Her commander was Captain Joshua Edward Ilbery, a 69-year-old maritime legend. With over 50 years at sea, he was a master of the Australian run. In April 1909, the Waratah embarked on her maiden voyage from London to Australia via the Cape, a journey she completed successfully. But on that voyage, whispers began. Some passengers reported a pronounced, lingering roll in calm seas. A clergyman, the Reverend John H. Bates, wrote to his wife expressing unease, stating the ship felt top-heavy and that she would lie over when the sea was on her beam. The return voyage to England began in July. After stops in Australian ports, she steamed for Durban, South Africa. It was here, on July 25th, that she took on her final complement of passengers and cargo for the last leg to Cape Town. Among the 92 passengers were families returning home, businessmen, and a number of South African dignitaries. They boarded with the casual confidence of the age. The Waratah departed Durban at 8:15 p.m. on July 25, 1909, bound for Cape Town. She carried enough coal and provisions for weeks. The sea state as the Waratah headed south was formidable. The Agulhas Current, a warm, fast-moving river within the ocean, clashes violently with the prevailing southwesterly winds and storms. It is a breeding ground for freak waves, steep, monstrous walls of water known to sailors as rogue waves or holes in the sea. On the afternoon of July 26th, the Waratah was spotted by the captain of the Union Castle liner Guelph. He noted she was laboring heavily in a fierce following sea. Then, at dawn on the 27th, came the final, fleeting contact. The tramp steamer Harlow, en route from Port Elizabeth to Durban, encountered the Waratah about 130 miles off the coast. Through signal lamps, the two ships exchanged identification. The Harlow's captain, seeing the Waratah pitching deeply in the heavy swell, asked if everything was all right. Captain Ilbery's reply was that definitive, three-word flash, "All well." By midday, the weather worsened dramatically. A storm of exceptional fury descended. And somewhere in that maelstrom, between the sighting by the Harlow and the expected sighting of land, the SS Waratah ceased to exist. When the Waratah failed to arrive in Cape Town on the 29th, concern was slow to mount. Ships were often delayed by weather. But as hours stretched into days with no wireless signal, a technology the Waratah notably lacked, anxiety turned to dread. The Blue Anchor Line initiated what would become one of the most extensive and costly maritime searches in history. The Royal Navy dispatched the cruiser HMS Hermes. For weeks, ships combed thousands of square miles of ocean. They found nothing. No oil slick, no floating debris, no recognizable wreckage. On land, Search parties scoured the remote, cliff-lined wild coast, a brutal terrain of dense bush and indigenous communities. They found only silence. The official inquiry, held in London in 1910, was hampered by the total absence of physical evidence. It heard conflicting testimony about the ship's stability. Naval architects from Barclay, Coral defended her design, pointing to a successful maiden voyage. But other experts, like Professor William H. Bragg, a future Nobel laureate, testified that the Waratah's metacentric height, a key measure of stability, was dangerously low. The inquiry reached a maddeningly inconclusive verdict. The ship was lost due to perils of the sea, but the exact cause could not be determined. For the families of the 211 lost, it was a hollow end. They were left with only ghosts and theories. And so, the theories blossomed in the absence of facts. The first and most persistent pointed to a catastrophic structural failure. Did the combination of heavy topside fittings and low-density cargo in her holds cause her to capsize suddenly, too quickly for even a distress signal? Then came the specter of the rogue wave. Survivors of the Agulhas current describe waves that are not waves, but moving cliffs. In the 1970s, wreck hunter Emlyn Brown became obsessed with the Waratah, dedicating over 2 decades and millions of dollars to finding her. In 1999, his team believed they had found the wreck using side-scan sonar, identifying a promising shape on the seabed 600 feet deep. But subsequent dives by remote submersibles found only a natural geological formation. The wild coast had tricked them, as it has tricked so many. Each theory, from the scientific to the sensational, crashes against the same, immovable fact. There is no evidence. The ship remains a ghost. But the true heart of this mystery is not steel or seawater. It is human. It is Captain Ilbery, a man at the twilight of a distinguished career, facing a storm unlike any he had seen. The legacy of the Waratah is a chilling lesson in hubris. She was a symbol of an era that believed in the infallibility of its engineering, just years before the Titanic disaster would shatter that belief globally. Yet, she remains an open wound in maritime history. The SS Waratah is out there, resting in a darkness we have not yet pierced. She is the perfect mystery, a story with a beginning and a middle, but no end. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary, please subscribe to our channel. We bring you fascinating documentaries on history, science, civilizations, mysteries, and the untold stories that shaped our world. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a new release. See you in the next one.